Back to sunny Britain, and a quick update of what I've been looking at while working off my jet lag. Bitcoin has been set up in the Hunt volatility funnels on the 15-minute and 20-minute time frame, and has also had right down to the 5-minute little primer breaks set up, all with a target through 15.86 as a value. Time for a little Egyptian looking cat to come and say hello to Rachel. Seems a little scared. Anyway, so 15.86 to be run on what I'd call the 15-minute time frame HVF setups. We on our premium base camp, we called that prior to break. It has already now broken now by the time you guys see this, and will already be some way on the way. Other two cryptos that are looking interesting again, there's a chance that Ethereum Classic, which is not one really I totally get anymore, because it seems to be the old school one and the main runner being Ethereum. So I'm not prone fundamentally to buy Classic. I'd prefer to hold the primary one, but sometimes you just have to look at the chart and trade what you see. I think Ethereum Classic is set up, or is in the process of setting up as well. This one has not yet broken, so that's an early little heads up for you. Go have a look at it across other Bitcoins, aka Ethereum itself, where I think it's had a pullback relative to Ethereum after Classic had a much bigger run, round about to the 38.2% fib from its upward spike move, which was very brutal. In other words, we got relative overperformance by Classic couple of weeks back, and I think that might now be basing out and beginning to move relative to even Ethereum, which I'm still bullish. So I'm just talking about relative degrees of bullishness. I think Classic could be slightly more so from a technical point of view, although I can't understand why you usually get such an. And even against coin itself, which I'm also very bullish, as you've just heard, Classic looks like it's coming for a point of overperformance. So maybe there's something to happen. I sometimes wonder if Ethereum would put to bed a demon of the hard fork, if somehow there was a negotiated re-emergence of Classic into Ethereum, almost like a merger where Classic got bought back out into the new Ethereum principles. It's just maybe this is just a fantasy and me thinking aloud. Maybe there's another reason, and it's all kind of like a bigger company merging another one, and maybe that would occur at quite a higher level to appease the 8%, which is roughly the market cap of Classic relative to Ethereum. If they got taken out at a higher level, or that implied value, it would satisfy the holdouts. I don't know if that'll happen. It's very speculative on my behalf. It's probably very low possibility, but maybe it would. And maybe it would tidy up the whole perception of Ethereum, because I listen to people that are Bitcoin, solely Bitcoin, singularity biased. In other words, it's the first, it's the best, they've made money on it, everything else is a fraud, and it's all about Bitcoin. Particularly people that were early into the crypto space, because they were early and it's recognized that they're right, that it's a major arena. I've watched some comments by certain people, I'm not going to name them, and they have what I call a singularity mentality. It's a bit like the dot-com boom, but there could only be one winner of the internet, one company that comes out of it as a champion. There can't be an Amazon and an eBay and a Google and a Cisco and all of those. There can only be one, and it's got to be the first one. This is what I call the marriage principle. People make some early money on the industry creator company, the leader and the first, which probably deserves a lot of credit for creating the success of the crypto world, which is Bitcoin. So I fully acknowledge Bitcoin's role as being highly significant. What that doesn't mean, though, is that it will be the alpha to omega of all things to do with the crypto world. It's going to be too big an industry. It's seeded in an industry. It can't dominate the entire industry because the industry is fracturing. It's like a cell that keeps subdividing. There's so many different new little decision trees, niches that have to be plumbed and mined and created to serve the ever expanding realization of the potential of this industry. Bitcoin can't be all things to all people. Other things can come in specifically designed for a specific niche that can outperform it. But to some people and industry commentators, they direct a lot of bile and resentment towards Ethereum, which has possibly grown more and longer more recently, because it sort of represents some sort of challenge in their singularity mindset, where they married Bitcoin for making them their first money or for being the industry. It's almost like they feel they have to have a loyalty and it's one or none. This is not a situation of a girlfriend that you marry and then all other women, you have no relationship with them in any level. This is understanding the complexities of an entire industry that's being created, for which no one party can be all things to everything. Despite acknowledging our gratitude and insight for the creation of Bitcoin. Bitcoin is awesome. I'm calling it long. When it's long, I'm going to call it long, and it's going to be indicated technically. But that doesn't mean other things aren't going to be along too at the same time. And everything else is a fraud. So you get the early birds who set up their career and then base everything around Bitcoin, that now dismiss everything else as a sham or a scam, and hallowed Bitcoin's weaknesses as relative strengths, such as the scalability. And this is what I call emotionality. And this is the one benefit, I think, of coming to this market as a trader rather than a techie. Techies understand the fundamentals of things far better than I do. And if you hear me trying to explain them, you'll probably see that I'm listening to smarter people than me in that area. But as a trader, we learn to be slightly more dispassionate and to see where the money, the volume, and the market is flowing. Some people were probably quite morally disgusted that at one point we'd switched into a Ripple, which has, the 60% pre-mine, all for the banks, represents the banks and the system, etc., etc., etc. When it comes to trading, you've got to leave your morality and your beliefs behind and decide, what is the game? Do I just want to be in things that are going to represent the relative strength of the moment, or do I want to vote with my belief systems? And those early birds' belief systems is Bitcoin is it and everything else just a poor imposter. Other people believe, as I do fundamentally, the Fed is bad, fiat currencies will fail, stay away from the bankers' version. Well, as a trader, the primary goal is to do what's right by your P&L and to recognize the technical indicators, which is volume, which precedes big moves often, patterns, which have high probability of recurrent type behavior, for which I believe we've selected the best technical pattern in existence for its unique properties. And I designed an entire course on teaching people how to exploit just this one thing. In other words, the world rewards specialists. The world rewards specialists, and you've got to decide if you want to be a generalist and a specialist. So we focus on doing one thing really well. So yeah, that's I wouldn't call it quite a rant, but it's my statement towards people that have a Bitcoin bias as a mental singularity that it will succeed and all else will fail. I disagree with that. I also I will spare you a sneeze. I also think the real winner could potentially not even be in the top 20 or even be formed. As I've highlighted, Google was not the first search engine by a long way. No one remembers Alta Vista, Ask, and Excite anymore, or uses them. They're all dead. And Yahoo certainly limps on in a very low level. But Google was the winner, came later. And as new technologies are derived, things get better. Anyway, that's my chat. Keep an eye out on NEM, NEM, so ETC, which is Ethereum Classic. Have a look at your Ethereum Classic versus your Ethereum chart. See if you agree. Very bullish spike, and then a pullback with getting really tight, low vol on the 38.2 fib. And have a look at Bitcoin. And I believe, let me take that back. I assess that Bitcoin will run the 2580s to make what I would call a relative high 2 potential. Remember, it touched 2,800 for its relative high 1, and then we'll turn down, put in a down leg slightly, as all part of a wind-up pattern to go higher still, which would have a $900 amplitude, because it fell from 2.8 to 1.890 in its sell-off. That $900 could make an amplitude which will project upwards from its midpoint at some point later if it creates another continuation pattern on a big time frame. So a couple of musings. You probably need to look at a chart for some of this to make sense. So if you're watching this on your handheld, have a look at your charts when you get home. Some of what I'm saying might make sense. But that's my technical take on the cryptos. Also, I have set up a Twitter handle specifically for crypto. I'd suggest you follow, because I'm going to start pushing all the crypto YouTubes and the crypto charts uniquely through that handle, and it is at the crypto sniper, at the crypto sniper, TheCrypto, and then sniper, the crypto sniper. So I look forward to seeing, pick up the follows on that, and you'll soon start getting a crypto specific feed. Thanks very much for your time and watching this, and enjoy the sun if you're lucky enough to have some of it, and we'll catch you later in the week.